Hello, YouTube. It's your boy Nathan coming you to do another recap video. Today we are talking 90 Day Hunt for Love, Season 1, Episode 10. The Boy with Pepperoni Nipples. Don't know why they want to call it these stupid title names, but it is what it is. So yeah, we're just going to get onto it. So this episode was not as crazy as last week. It was not much yelling like last week's was. We started the episode like, we're still wrapping up like everything what happened last week with the whole not Tim, Cole, Rob, and Jen thing, who started that rumor and everything, and about Elise and Rob and stuff. So Elise and Jen pulled each other aside and realized that it probably was Cole, even though it was actually Carla. We found out it was actually Carla who started it, but stayed quiet during that whole thing. I think it was like a mixture, like a three-way mixture between Cole, Carla, and Tiffany. Who started that rumor that Elise was like sleeping with Rob and stuff. So Elise and Jen actually decided to have a conversation. Elise apologized to Jen and said, like, you know what, we're gonna stop this right now. Like, it's gonna be girls before boys and everything. I'm sorry I yelled at you. I gotta work on my temper and everything. We gotta be in this together, girl, and everything. And so, Jen is like, agreed, and they gave each other a hug and stuff and whatnot. And, they decided to call it the truths, basically. Now Tim is jealous of that because now, remember, Tim was crushing on Elise. And now he's saying that he is done with Elise because she's basically too much and everything. And I don't think Tim just likes the idea of anybody like getting really close to Jen, basically. And so he's just like he always just has something snarky to say. I don't really understand Tim, basically. So the girls call it the truths, and so we see Rob, Jen, and Elise have a conversation. They're just laying down on one of those beach beds or whatever. And I was really surprised to see that because, Elise and Rob, after the first 2 days, like after what happened in the first 2 days, didn't think they would want to be around each other. But Rob was just like, I got these two women here. How did we get from them screaming at each other to coming over here talking to me? And they were just talking some graphic stuff, making jokes about how Cole may have small, what energy and everything, and that, at least asked Jen, have you seen Cole's, what, and everything, and she said no, which again was a lie. I cannot say, like, I understand you don't want to expose like your sex life in the public, but like you gotta just stop lying. Like, you gotta fabricate it a little bit, but you don't have to fully lie about it all the time at this point. So she's lying and everything, and Rob actually thinks that she is lying and everything, but he's just still going along with it because he really likes Jen. And so, like, they started talking, making jokes about being a throuple and stuff and everything. And, Rob was like, man, that would be a whole nother rumor. So, and he was just like, you know what? I would have thought Elise would want to stay away from me after all of this, considering everything we went through, and just so people won't get it, just so there'll be no more confusion about it. And I agree with that. So I was just really surprised that she even went over there and everything. On Between the Sheets, like Colt had called her out. He was like, what's wrong with you? Why are you going over there? She was like, I don't know. So there was that. And then we got to see a new like match like emerge. Rocky, Mr. Little Porn Stash, he actually, he's been vibing with Tiffany, but Rocky, he's just been all over the place. He's just like one of them silent ones and everything, trying to be all over the place and stuff. He actually went up to Chantel and asked Chantel on a date and everything. And I was kind of surprised about that because, Chantel's just been a little like not knowing what she wants other than that girl that she keeps talking about, Ashley, back at home and stuff. She keeps talking about that. So, but I was really surprised that like Rocky like asked her on a date. He asked her, "Do you want to go like swim in the cenote?" Like, and she's like, and Chantel was like, "If something happens to me, are you gonna watch me?" He's like, "Yeah, ain't nobody gonna mess with us and everything." He has like this like really like the TV, like the model type TV character smiles, like especially with that mustache and everything, like and stuff and everything. So like I think it probably turned her on a little bit and stuff, but you know, he's really playing the game. But the thing is that again, he asks Chantel on a date, then you got opinionated Tim in the background saying, "I don't know, man. Like, I got nothing against you, but I like Joe for her better. I like Joe better." I'm like, dude, like, stay out of it, please. You ain't finding nobody. You and Tiffany just go out into the sunset and just worrying about other people. Like, look, like, leave everybody alone. Like, we don't need his little snarky comments and everything. Like, you know, and then so Joe, and I guess like Joe was fine with like Chantal going on a date with Rocky and everything, so there was no drama with that and everything. However, we found out on Between the Sheets that they actually brought Rocky on Between the Sheets this episode. Him and May were talking, and apparently Rocky had a small thing off camera with Jen that we didn't know about. And I guess Jen was saying that she would do all kinds of stuff to Rocky, and you know he didn't want to say what those stuff was because he's friends with Cole and everything. So I'm just like, So now you know Jen, like again, she's allowed to do this. This is what they're supposed to be doing. But dang, she is sneaky. She is really sneaky, basically. So yeah. Meanwhile, we have we go up to the back up to the hospital. Remember, Colt broke his leg a few episodes ago, and you know Courtney is just still in like in her head a lot because like she feels like that accident was her fault and it wasn't and everything. She feels responsible. Remember last week she gave him power of attorney. They gave her power of attorney basically and everything. But we're back at the hospital and Colt had his surgery finally. We don't know what the update was. They just showed her at the hospital. I guess he was in his gown and his like male areas were out and everything, like were exposed and everything. I don't know why they had to like talk about like these body parts and stuff. I don't really care about or need to know about that stuff. So we didn't see that. But meanwhile, like on that topic, we're back in the cenote, and you got Jen and Elise talking about talking about Rob's, nipples, and talking about how they look like pepperonis and stuff and everything. And I'm just like, really? like, why are we talking about like nipples and stuff and everything? I don't get it. I really don't get it. So meanwhile, the event coordinator gathers up the whole cast, and they take them from the cenote back to the resort. And you know, there's still conversations with Rocky and Chantel, and now finally, Usman and Courtney are going to go on a date. Meanwhile, back at the resort, Rob actually asks Jen on a date and everything. And Jen said, yeah, we're gonna go on a date, and we don't really want Cole to know, basically, but Cole's gonna know because we have a little birdie in the group, and she's pointing to Tim, basically, that he's gonna find out, basically. And I mean, he was right and everything. So they're talking about that, and then next thing you know, on the beach, we see Cole and Carlo walking up on the beach. We see Jen and Rob talking and sitting on the beach or like on one of those canopies on the beach or whatever. And they told Cole that Rob asked Jen on a date, basically, and he's of course in his feelings about it. And I mean, I have to admit, I'm so over this this little saga with Cole, Rob, and Jen, like for real. Like, and this is why I wanted to see other singles and stuff. We found out on Between the Sheets that Joe might have hooked up with some of the other singles that we don't get to see, basically. Like, the only singles we see is just Elise, Cole, and Carlo, sometimes Rocky, sometimes Joe, and sometimes May. But, and Nikki, very little with Nikki and stuff. There's like tons of other, and then Jay had his 15 minutes of fame in the last couple episodes. But there's like so many other singles that are there and other connections developing that we don't get to see. And I'd rather see that. I wish they would like focus on what the other singles are doing instead of focusing on Cole, Rob, and Jen, or Tiffany, Carlo, Rocky, and Jay. you know. So that was that. So Cole's in his feelings about Rob asking Jen on a date, and I don't really care. So meanwhile, we go up to see Usman and Courtney's date, and they go with two other singles. I forget who. I think it was Tessa and somebody else. They went on a double date with, but they didn't show their date. They just focused on Usman and Courtney, and they decided to go ziplining. Now, when I was watching the ziplining scene, I went ziplining for the first time when I was in the Bahamas, and it was not the best experience. I've been prior to that, I've been dying to go ziplining, and after what happened to me in the Bahamas, like when I was going down, I thought when I went ziplining, I thought I was just going to do it one time, but it was like a course basically, and on the second shot, basically, I got stuck in the middle because I didn't release when I was supposed to let go and land. I still kept on holding on to the rope, so the thing pushed me back to the middle, and I got stuck. And they had to come grab me and help me reel myself into the next spot and everything. And so I had to do one more shot, and I was just like, I can't finish this course. I'm done. I'm done. So Courtney was a little scared about that, basically, but. So she did ziplining. Usman said that, they don't get to see like much ziplining in Nigeria, basically, but he said it's something that he enjoyed doing and stuff. So that was a cool date, basically. So after that date, now Usman is like really grilling Courtney. Usman, first we're talking about Colt. Courtney is still like crying, like really crying over Colt because like she's still worried about him and everything. She's like, I will admit, Courtney's in a really tough position right now because like that accident happened while he was leaving her room and stuff and everything. She has feelings for him. She also has feelings for Usman, but but right now Colt is like needs her care and stuff. Usman asked Courtney, like, if Colt came back to the resort and he was healed, like, would you go? And he asked you on a date, would you go on a date with him? And she was like, yeah, I'm not gonna like knock him when he's down and stuff. I would go on a date with him, and basically. And then Usman tells Courtney, he was like, Courtney, I don't just like you, I love you. I love you. And Courtney was just like, wow. But she didn't even respond back. She was just like, I'm under a lot of stress right now. I don't need a lot of stress and everything. And just starts crying and everything. Usman said, man, Courtney cries a lot. And she cries every time we talk about Colt. She just starts crying and everything. They even earlier prior to that, they were having a conversation with Tim. And Tim was just like, like, bro, like, if I had broken my leg and a girl had rushed in the ambulance with me to take care of me, that's the girl I'm going after, basically, and everything. But, I mean, it's a tricky situation because, like, I think that every time like somebody has like an injury or something like that happens, you feel more attached to them and everything while they're going through like surgeries and in the hospital and stuff. But what happens when it's all over, So it's, I understand Courtney doesn't really like, she feels like she's playing them both and leading them both on right now. Like, but I'm going to give her a pass in this moment. I don't see any problem with this right now until she figures this out because, yeah, Colt is not doing. He's in the hospital. He broke his leg and everything. So yeah. I mean, and that was basically it. Yeah, it wasn't. We didn't have much going on in this episode, but I do know, judging by the previews of next week, we're gonna see. We're gonna see Tiffany's date with Jay. We didn't see Tiffany much in this episode, and I was kind of glad. We needed a little break after what happened all last week. So, but we're gonna see Tiffany's date with Jay. We're gonna see Carlo and Tiffany have like a conversation, and I don't know why like they showed like Courtney and Rocky like in her room and stuff, and like just a lot of confusion going on basically. Like yeah, next when I saw the previews for next week, it just looked like everything was just going to be really like confusing. I'm just like, what is going on basically? And we even see like Carlo talking to Elise and thinking that they probably had something. Like why aren't we seeing this? Why aren't we seeing any of this basically? So something like there's a lot of questions I got that need to be figured out next week. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, guys, I mean, yeah, that was it. And yeah, this video was kind of quick this week. Yeah, so yeah. All right, guys, that is the end of my review. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're at 97 subscribers. We need 3 more, guys. Just 3 more to hit that 100 piece. So keep on watching. I'm gonna try to do my 90-day UK recaps either tomorrow or Wednesday. Tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday. Just again, I have a lot going on. I'm still sick, so just pray for me. Had a family emergency. Like I just had a lot going on this week, so like I'm still trying to recover. But I'll be sure I'll try to get these videos out for you guys. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see y'all again soon. Bye, y'all.